I supposed to dance? Let's all get up and dance. We had a long speech there in the beginning, so maybe our minds are still dancing. I don't know about how you felt about that, but this is pretty exciting. Anyways, I'm here to welcome you to San Diego, home of Qualcomm. I like to say home of the mobile revolution, although there's a few things going on up in Silicon Valley that I think you heard about. These kind of events are super important, and we learned about that pretty early on when we were doing healthcare. And we would think, oh, we have this convergence going on of healthcare and mobile, and just put the people together and it's all going to work. And what happened was the people on the healthcare side, they all said, I got this great business idea. I'm going to make a mobile virtual network operator. I'm going to make my money off of airtime. And the mobile people said, I got this great idea. I'm going to sell diabetes strips. Because everybody thought the other side was such an easy thing to do. And what really takes is that you've got to get the intersection of people, the people who understand both sides of an issue, technology and that application of the technology. And that's where the evolution happens. That's where the people make these big leaps forward. And I think this kind of a thing, this kind of an event, where you get this many people focused on both technology and education, that's where the learning gets created, that we will make those exponential leaps that Mike talked about. That's what gets me incredibly excited about being in a place and a convention like this. And San Diego is a place where this has been done in telecom, in life sciences, a number of things. We have a lot of educational institutions here and research institutions here, so really is a great place for that. I assume you guys all know Qualcomm. Maybe let me start off by asking, who has a smartphone? Okay, sorry, who doesn't have a smartphone? Okay, you guys can leave because this is about technology. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so Qualcomm, we've been working in the field for over 30 years and really spent a lot of effort on how do we create kind of not just connectivity, but mobile broadband and all these technologies. We actually put the internet protocols into the phone in the early 90s when we were developing this new digital mobile technology. And people used to say to us, why are you doing that? I just want to make phone calls on this thing. But we actually saw that possibility ahead of time. And not to contradict Mike, but we actually built the first smartphone a little bit earlier than Apple did, and first app store a little bit earlier than that also. And so we were building a lot of fundamental enabling technology. And that's what we do is we're not really that well known to the consumer, but we built a lot of the enabling technology in the mobile revolution. And every one of you who has a smartphone, you have our technology, you have our chipsets inside. And I will tell you the key thing that's made Qualcomm successful is not doing it all ourselves. It's about building an ecosystem of partners, and it was really that key insight. We did start the company thinking we were going to do everything from soup to nuts, but we quickly learned that other people could do different parts of it better than we could, and so we focused very much on creating the technology, creating the chipsets, and then sort of being a catalyst for other industries to come into the mobile revolution and to get access to that. And so we really focused a lot on how is it that we can use this technology to transform people's lives. And you heard the number before in terms of how many people how many mobile connections there are, over 7 billion mobile connections. It's not that many people. There's kind of 3.5 billion unique users out there that are using mobile technology. But I don't think it's any hype, even the way I'm speaking, it's not any hype to say that mobile is humanity's greatest technology platform. And what that means is that we are able to provide connectivity, and not just voice connectivity, but mobile broadband connectivity. So internet access to people anywhere in the world, in the most remote regions. And we're, in fact, even today, working on a low Earth orbiting satellite system that's going to provide coverage to the rest of the world that's not covered by mobile technology and by mobile broadband. And the kind of impact that mobile technology's had is really fundamental. I mean, it's amazing the scope of it, because it is said that there are more mobile phones in the world than toothbrushes. I don't know about you, but I kind of would prefer those people to be calling me on their cell phone, not face-to-face. But anyways, what's happened with that huge platform is that we really have been able to transform a lot of industries. And you've probably heard about the Internet of Things or Internet of Everything, where we're taking this massive R&D investment that's driven the cost down and the power consumption down and the performance up of the devices that you carry with you, and giving you all of these kinds of things. That R&D investment, where we brought all of this capability into the phone, now is going out into other devices, into other industries to enable those other industries. And so I talked about health already. Huge possibilities for connecting people with healthcare and giving much more personalized healthcare. Instead of getting the kind of feedback that says, take 2 pills and call me in the morning, your device will actually be watching you all the time and monitoring and telling you ahead of time when something's wrong. Automotive, a great example that you heard a little bit about. Today, about 20% of cars are connected, but in the next 5 years, it'll at least be 60% of cars will be connected. And of course, that's wonderful, because we all can see where the traffic is and get rerouted and all these kinds of really valuable things that come from that. And not to mention what the car companies get from it. They get ongoing diagnostics and of what's going on in the fleet of cars that are out there. So connectivity has a lot of benefits. And what we're seeing now is this is the time for us to do it in education, because giving access is really one of the fundamental components of getting kids to learn digitally. And we want to make sure that all kids have access to their educational materials, and they have it anytime and anywhere. And right now, we're seeing things like 70% of teachers are assigning assigning homework that requires internet access, but there's 5 million households still in the US with school-age children that lack internet connectivity. And so really, by giving access, we will help expand all the technologies that people in this room are working on, really trying to give the kids the access to all this wealth of digital content, to create these blended learning models, all the kinds of things that we really want to do. And if you look at some of the surveys, what we've seen is that 50% of school and district technology leaders cite lack of internet access outside of the school as one of the biggest obstacles to them bringing more technology into the experience of day-to-day instruction. And so we will be able to take these technologies, and just like I said in health, the same thing will be true in education, that we'll create a much more personalized experience, and that will really help the kids achieve their potential. And that's what we're also seeing, is that over half of the district administrators are saying that using these blended models of online and personal, in-school education, that's creating a lot of positive results. And so we actually have tested some of these things, not just theorized about them. And we've done a bunch of different proof of concept trials with operators and with schools on these mobile education ideas. And how do we give the students safe and affordable access to digital assets outside of the classroom? So we did a project in San Diego with Alvin Dunn Elementary School trial, and there were 6th grade students who got LTE connected tablets. Of those kids, an amazing 59% of them didn't have access to the internet at home. 96%, I don't know which kid didn't like it, but 96% of the kids who didn't have the home internet access said that the LTE devices helped them become better students. 76% of them said that they worked together with classmates more as a result of having the connected device. And that's actually a thing that we've seen over and over, that getting the kids to actually help teach each other is a huge component of these educational trials that we've done and that have really helped improve the kids' performance on various metrics of progress. And so getting these connected devices into the hands of students is, I think, critically important. We believe that it's important not just to do it in the school, but also outside of the school using the cellular technology, and it's there that we're focused on ways of creating more affordable access to students outside. And as we've seen, as time's gone on, we are seeing more affordable devices come out. So the stats in terms of the usage of notebooks and tablets and Chromebooks, I mean, these things have gone up dramatically. 40 million devices have been sold into the education segment since 2010, 3 times that number internationally. 76% of elementary school students report regularly using a tablet in 2015. That was up from 66% in 2014. So things are moving up. And obviously, on the content side, there's, you heard all sorts of examples of different companies and different programs towards providing the content. And it's not just access. I mean, I focused a lot on access because we really believe that that is a fundamental enabler, and it's something that we really have spent a lot of effort on over time. But there's a lot of new things that will come. I mean, every time you get a new phone, there's a set of new technologies that have come into that. And the same thing will happen with technologies that are very useful for the education space. So we really want to make sure that the kids have safe and secure access to the right content on their devices. We're adding, as you already know, biometric authentication, so fingerprint readers and other kinds of things. These kinds of capabilities are getting less and less expensive as time goes on, so that will make them much more able to be used. We're making learning more immersive with virtual reality. You saw that, and augmented reality. We'll use machine intelligence to watch what the students are doing and personalize things even more. So there's a lot of mobile innovations that are going to come and really make this even better. Okay, so why do we care so much? Well, as you heard, Erwin started out, that's my dad, a few years ago. And he started out as an MIT university professor, and he came out to UCSD, and a bunch of the people from Qualcomm came out of academia. And so really tried to keep an academic feeling environment at the company. Employees are encouraged to donate a lot of time, so millions of dollars and volunteer hours on education initiatives. We have a project called Wireless Reach, which uses mobile technology and connectivity for various kinds of programs around social benefits. Education is one of them. We've done 40 education projects in 15 countries. And just a lot of different collaborations that are going on there. Part of it is self-interest, obviously. I mean, we care that there's a great pipeline of STEM educated people in the workforce. You heard lots of benefits for that. I think a little bit of things that made me nervous too, but anyways, we feel like it's an obligation to support STEM education. I think most companies in tech, and you heard the kinds of demands that there will be. So that is something that really has to be solved by us in the industry. But there's other things that we do, and a lot of them are really focused around experiential learning, because one of the issues that we feel in terms of STEM is that it's hard, and it's easy to get sort of derailed by hitting obstacles. And the idea that kids will be motivated by building stuff themselves and being able to actually see why it is that they're learning something, and because they've been able to build that thing. So they understand, okay, I need to learn this new skill or theory or whatever it is so I can make this thing. And so we've done a lot of work in different levels of the educational system. We have a thing called Think-A-Bit Labs, which is kind of a makerspace thing, which has been targeted towards middle school students, 6,500 middle school students. And of those, half of them were girls. 2/3 of them were minorities, so we're really trying to bring in underrepresented groups. First Robotics, hopefully you guys know First Robotics. Dean Kamen's initiative, I'm on the board there. We've been a sponsor for a very long time. And what's really cool is that this year, we've actually provided the kids with basically the guts of a cell phone, and they're programming the cell phone to run the robots. And so this idea of leveraging all the investment that's gone into the phone, so they get machine intelligence and computer vision, all of these kinds of things that they hook up to the sensors and the motors in the robots, and they're learning a real marketable skill by building these devices, as well as being motivated by solving the problems that they have to solve. Another thing that we've done is High Tech High. I don't know how many know of High Tech High, but it was a school that my brother was very involved with in the San Diego community. And it's very much about project-based curriculum. And the kids, I mean, it's amazing. It's a lottery to get in, and almost all the kids, basically all the kids end up going to higher education. A large number of them, 34% of them, focus in STEM, so that's a great thing. And then another thing I've been involved with at the university level, undergraduate level, is also around experiential learning, really focused on using design as a motivator and sort of this combination of art and science and thinking about sort of what the end problem is, also to try and motivate students to continue in the STEM field even when they hit those obstacles. And I think all of these initiatives are just things that we're doing. We're trying to work with other partners as well. And really, I want to close by saying, again, that collaboration is the key. There's a lot of challenges in bringing these great benefits of connectivity and technology into the education field. But obviously, how are these things funded, whether it's the programs, whether it's the technologies, whether it's the devices, whether it's the access. How do we make sure that the kids who don't have connectivity get it? Because we don't want to create another gap. How do we know that the teachers are getting the kind of training that they need to absorb and use these technologies well? Another critical area of focus. And so I think these kinds of challenges are things that we as a community need to come together and solve. And we've been involved in ecosystem creation, in working with partners. We're absolutely excited by that opportunity to do that in the education field. It's really, as you heard earlier, it's an incredible imperative. So it's just too important to let these barriers get in its way. And we look forward to working with all of you to solve some of these issues. Thanks very much, and welcome to San Diego.